I'm America's top-ranked hero, Captain Celebrity!
My Hero Academia Vigilantes episode 8 is out, titled Major. Of course, we're going to be breaking down the episode as well as the entire season each week, so be sure to Detroit smash that like button and subscribe to the Kitaroki channel so that you don't miss any My Hero Academia Vigilantes content. The episode begins with Koichi on a high-speed chase. Pop tells him that playing cat and mouse with the guy on the motorcycle is dangerous. Koichi doesn't listen and gets kicked in the face by the motorcyclist's long leg quirk and spins out of control towards an oncoming truck. Before the truck got the chance to isekai Koichi, a pro hero swoops in, saving Koichi from the real villain of the episode, Truck-kun. In an instant, the hero is able to save Koichi's life and stop the motorcycle chase, and tells Koichi that he's brave, but he should leave it to the pros to handle the really dangerous chases. Koichi thanks him and asks who the hero is, and the hero tosses the villain to the side, flabbergasted that Koichi doesn't know who he is, and reveals himself to be Captain Celebrity, the United States' top-ranked hero. He gives Koichi an autograph on his All Might hoodie and tells Koichi to not forget his name and maybe take a few pictures to brag about it online. Koichi gets upset as Captain Celebrity ruined his exclusive All Might hoodie, and the pro hero tells him to give it a rest and that his signature is worth more. Koichi believes that it's his decision to decide what's worth more to him, and Captain Celebrity laughs in his face, claiming that All Might has no style and that he's nothing more than a muscle-brained oaf, and he flies off, letting Koichi know that playing hero doesn't suit him. Now, Captain Celebrity, despite being disrespectful to my glorious king All Might, he is meant to represent the more sleazier side of pro heroes, the side that really only cares about their popularity and self-image, only caring about the media's attention and fame, and come off as extremely arrogant because of it, which does remind me of the DC superhero Booster Gold in terms of his personality. Captain Celebrity's costume design is also inspired by the Scouter from the Frieza Force in Dragon Ball Z and Vegeta's Saiyan armor. On top of that, for the anime, you just have to love that they made CC have this All Might-esque sound to him, making him this what if All Might was an absolute douchebag parallel to the character. Plus, it's hilarious that he makes his own little sound effects when he shows off. They are all amazing little details. On the news, we find out that Captain Celebrity is in Tokyo to start his new hero career, and his real name is Christopher Skyline. For some added details, we see that on one magazine, CC makes it into the top 10 in America again, hinting that he had dropped off before, most likely due to his controversies that we learn about in a second, and that he has ranked among America's top 10 heroes for at least 10 years, which could be a nod to My Hero Academia itself having been out for over a decade at this point. The anime also adds in a ton of new scenes showing CC flying through different states in America like New York and California. He even flies past the Statue of Liberty to really hammer in that he is an American hero. He saves a man and his dog from a falling tree, a woman from a burning building, and the reporter even explains Captain Celebrity's flight quirk, which gives him the ability to fly on top of being incredibly strong. His quirk pretty much just makes him the My Hero Academia version of Superman, but less likable. They even give him a Superman-esque slogan by calling him the protector of life, dignity, freedom, and equality for the red, white, and blue, playing on the old truth, justice, and the American way Superman saying. We get an amazing display of Captain Celebrity's powers as we see a video on the news of him rescuing an entire cruise ship, lifting it in the air from the ocean 2 years ago at the New York harbor. Pop notes that he's impressive, but Knuckles states that Captain Celebrity is a screw-up, as he's known as Captain Catastrophe, with him having one lawsuit after another, and the reason why he's here in Japan to make a living is because he couldn't work in the States anymore. Koichi 100% believing this to be the case since he got bad vibes off of the hero and is still trying to remove his autograph off of his hoodie. In town, a kaiju villain is causing havoc, which for the anime, they made the kaiju villain a lot bigger than in the manga, media. And of course, a kaiju running around causing havoc in Japan is a neat reference to Godzilla, who is owned by Toho, who distributes the My Hero Academia anime, and it's even more evident to be a Godzilla reference since the anime uses a Godzilla-esque roar when showing off the kaiju villain. With a villain running rampant, of course the person behind it all is Hachisuka, as she plans on collecting a sample once the villain has been dealt with. Koichi is helping with evacuation and hears that a kid was left behind. Captain Celebrity arrives on the scene and Koichi tells the captain to save the kid, but Captain Celebrity refuses to save the kid or do anything because the media didn't finish setting up and the police haven't put in a formal request, making him not obligated to start working. Koichi, disgusted by the captain's actions, decides to go in himself. As Koichi leaves, Captain Celebrity's team reaches out confirming the request from the police. The media outlets are linked up with his team-ups with other heroes, and his staff having confirmed the citizens in need of saving, giving CC the go to be a hero. Captain Celebrity being the prime example of a hero who's only in it for the fame and money. Funny enough, as he goes in to fight the kaiju villain, he has an entire stage set up with a DJ playing his own theme song. Meanwhile, Koichi is looking for the kid and everything around him is being destroyed thanks to Captain Celebrity fighting the villain. Koichi finds the kid and it turns out that the kid was actually a family dog. CC delivers the final blow on the kaiju, destroying the nearby building, and Koichi runs away with the dog to try and avoid being squished. CC notices them and saves Koichi again, and in front of the media he signs Koichi's hoodie again while being praised by the media for saving the day. The dog makes it back to his owner, and CC comes over to Koichi telling him that protecting pets is beneath their pay grade, so saving the puppy gets to be Koichi's big save. In arrogant fashion, CC requests that Koichi stop darting around underneath him because when Koichi's lame hoodie shows up on TV, it's going to kill his cool factor, since on-site broadcasts are a big part of his overall image. With that, he leaves and reaffirms Koichi's hatred for him. At night, it turns out that the fight with the kaiju did a lot of damage to a nearby building. While checking to see if there were any civilians left, Koichi finds a woman and a sumo wrestler with injured legs who are unable to escape. Captain Celebrity once again shows up and decides to take the woman, leaving Koichi with the sumo wrestler. Koichi thinks he should have taken the big guy instead because he's stronger, but CC claims that it's bad optics, and he looks better carrying a lady in his arms because it doesn't look good for pictures with him carrying a man, and he doesn't swing that way, so he's not into it. He saves Koichi again from a falling piece of rubble and looks extra heroic for the media, bringing down the woman while lifting the piece of rubble in one hand. CC claims it's time to demolish the building, and a cheerleading squad comes out cheering for the hero while he destroys the building. Koichi feels kind of jealous over how flashy it all is, and he notices that Makoto is a part of the crew cheering on Captain Celebrity, which bugs him. Pop gets jealous and claims that Makoto looks like an idiot bouncing around in a miniskirt, and Koichi looks directly at Pop's miniskirt because she does the same thing. Makoto notices the two and wants to interview them, but CC pulls up trying to flirt, revealing that she's actually working for Captain Celebrity. The hero tells Makoto that he wants to get to know her more, and Makoto suggests grabbing lunch, scheduling a reservation, and Captain Celebrity hits on her, wanting her to book a restaurant with a view of the whole city so he can sweep her off her feet and fly them up there. Koichi, looking from a distance, thinks he's a creep, and Knuckle Duster appears behind Koichi and Pop, revealing the truth about Captain Celebrity to them. Knuckle Duster even calls CC Don Juan, who happens to be a legendary fictional Spanish libertine who devotes his life to seducing women. Captain Catastrophe Celebrity, also known as the Soaring Stallion, all of his legal troubles have all revolved around women, with the biggest of his lawsuits coming from his estranged wife, who is seeking reparations for him cheating on her. He was taken to court for every cent he had, and he still never took it serious. He figured his wife can't keep an eye on him in Japan, so he's going back to his old ways. Regardless, he hasn't learned a thing from any of it. Learning of his past, a few days later, Koichi and Pop follow Makoto while on her way to the restaurant. Chris flies behind them and questions why are they following Makoto, and Makoto instantly clears up the misunderstanding, telling her boss that Koichi just goes to her college, and Chris, understanding, tells Koichi that they have a date, and he swoops her off her feet, taking her to the top of the restaurant. In the restaurant, Makoto tells Chris about the current bank robbery in progress, and he tries to brush it off since he wants to be with her. She then receives a call from a woman named Pamela, who turns out to be Chris's wife. Her and Makoto became friends, and she told Makoto if her husband were to cheat on her again in Japan, she would use that as grounds for a lawsuit to prove that he has no remorse. Hearing this, Chris decides to head over to the bank robbery. An awesome detail that I love is that during the sub, at certain points the characters will speak in English with Chris rather than Japanese, to let us know that when communicating with each other, they speak English to him so he can understand better, making his whole transition into Japan a lot more realistic than to just have him 100% fluent and understanding of the Japanese language as soon as he stepped foot in Japan. At the bank robbery, we see a dolphin bank robber asking for an eco-friendly getaway vehicle, and Koichi and Pop watch nearby, with Koichi unable to do anything thanks to him not having his All Might hoodie on him. Captain Celebrity makes quick work of the robber and rejects the love from the woman he saves in order to not get caught up by his wife. He sees Koichi nearby and snatches him up, taking him back to Makoto to take pictures of him to send to his wife. Chris lies to his wife, claiming that this whole date was a misunderstanding. Koichi sees the pictures, claiming that they don't seem right because Chris doesn't seem like the kind of guy to hang out with dudes. Makoto hears this and sees this as huge potential to change his image. On the news, an announcement is made with Captain Celebrity rebooting his image from being a Playboy hero with a new ad campaign, as his catchphrase will be changed from cool and charming to Japan-esque hardliners in order to appeal to his male audience. Koichi, Pop, and Knuckle watch the ad, which the anime did remove Jubei and Ichimoku from the ad. After the ending, we get a post-credit scene of Koichi receiving a phone call from his dad about his mom coming over to visit. The anime skips over a portion of chapter 16 where Pop wakes up Koichi and notices how much of a mess everything is. Koichi goes full panic mode, cleaning up, and explains that his mom didn't want him to be here because he would get tricked by someone into doing villainous acts, which Pop notes that he technically did. He claims that he told his mom that his life has been great, but he did lie about having a girlfriend. So he doesn't know what to do because his mom won't forgive a lie. And of course, Pop gets a little embarrassed and leaves after he says this. The episode ends with Koichi's mom finally arriving, and after complimenting him for the way he's been living, she cuts to the chase and asks about his girlfriend, putting him in a rough spot. Now, this episode covered a total of about 2 chapters, them being chapters 14 and 15, with some scenes from chapter 16 being adapted as well. We finally are introduced to Christopher Skyline, and while he represents the more darker side of pro heroes, it's really a nice change of pace from the usual every hero is a good guy stereotype, giving us this messed up counterpart to someone like All Might. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on the 8th episode of My Hero Academia Vigilantes. With that said, be sure to Detroit smash that like button, and if you enjoyed the video, then be sure to subscribe to the Kidoroki channel with notifications on so that you don't miss any My Hero Academia Vigilantes content, and I'll see you all in the next one.